Today, we're going to dive into a pretty radical idea, a brand new blueprint for society. We're going to look at what might be the real root causes of our biggest problems and explore a system designed from the ground up to actually solve them. So let's get into it. Does it ever feel like we're just stuck on a treadmill? Housing costs go up, food costs go up, and it seems like every 4 years we talk about the same problems, but nothing fundamentally changes. It's a really common frustration. But what if the issue isn't really the politicians we elect or the specific policies they pass? What if the problem is the game they're all forced to play? And that's exactly the premise we're digging into here. We're not just going to poke holes in the current system. We are looking at a detailed blueprint for a completely new one that's designed from first principles to change the very rules of that game. Okay, so to really understand the proposed solution, we have to get a clear picture of the problem. And according to this analysis, our current system isn't broken. Oh no, it's actually working perfectly as designed. As what's called an architecture of extraction, let's look at the two main engines that make it run. These are the two big interlocking systems that basically create our economic reality. First, you've got the fiat money engine. This thing controls how money even comes into existence, and it's tied directly to debt. Then you have the permission economy, which decides who gets to use that money to access essentials, like a place to live, often by making them artificially scarce. Let's break that down. So, what on earth is the fiat money engine? Well, most of us probably think the government or a central bank just prints all our money, but the reality is way different. The vast majority of money is actually created out of thin air by private commercial banks at the exact moment they approve a loan. And that means, right from its birth, our money supply is debt. And this number really drives the point home. It's just staggering. In many modern economies, something like 97% of the money in circulation wasn't created by the state. It was created by banks, issuing mortgages, business loans, you name it. And the crucial takeaway here is this. For the economy to keep going, the amount of debt has to constantly grow. So a system built on debt fundamentally creates two very different paths. If you're a capital owner, your wealth grows as your assets, like property or stocks, appreciate in value. You can then use those assets as collateral to get more low-cost loans to buy even more assets. But if you're a wage earner, your income is capped by the hours you can work. Your access to credit is based on that limited income, and your entire financial stability can be tied to a single paycheck. Now for that second engine, the permission economy. This is where governments get involved. Through things like zoning laws and permitting processes, they control who gets to build what and where. By restricting the supply of things like housing, these rules automatically drive up the value of existing properties. This is amazing for people who already own them, but it creates huge barriers for everyone else trying to get in. It's scarcity by design. Okay, so that's the diagnosis, a system that relies on constantly expanding debt and artificially created scarcity. So now let's pivot and look at the proposed cure, a new model for society called the Solus Nation. And this isn't just about tweaking a few policies, it's a total redesign from the ground up. The core philosophy behind it is actually really simple, but it's powerful. The idea is that instead of having a system that rewards hoarding wealth and extracting value, you design one that channels all that human energy toward creating new things, toward contribution. It's all about changing what the system incentivizes. And the very first pillar, the most important one, is a completely new economic engine. It's built around a unique digital currency called Pulse. And the key thing is, it's interest-free, which is designed to totally upend our relationship with money. Now this is where the magic happens. Our current system runs on interest. It rewards people for accumulating money and then lending it out. Pulse flips that on its head, using something called demurrage. You can think of it like a hot potato fee, but it only applies to excess, idle money that's just sitting there doing nothing. This creates a powerful natural incentive to keep money moving, to invest it, spend it on something useful, or contribute it to a community project. But, and this is super important, this isn't a penalty on saving. Everyone gets a demurrage-free buffer that's equal to about a year's worth of their living expenses. That's your safety net. The fee only kicks in on large pools of capital that are held above and beyond that buffer, just sitting stagnant. The idea isn't to force you to spend, but to discourage the kind of massive wealth hoarding that can grind an economy to a halt. So where does that recirculated money go? Well, it flows into a totally transparent common pool.
And what's really cool is that half of this pool is allocated directly by citizens. Every month, they get to vote on projects they want to fund in their communities. The other half is used by the government for the big stuff, healthcare, infrastructure, and so on. It becomes a self-funding system with no income tax and no government debt.
Of course, if you have a new economic system, you're going to need a new kind of government to run it. So the second pillar of Solus is a governance model built for long-term stability. It's a fascinating partnership between human wisdom and the objective power of AI. This government has two main parts. You have the human side, a group called the apostles. Think of them as society's moral backbone. People trained in ethics and philosophy who serve the public good but are forbidden from accumulating personal wealth. Then you have the AI guardian. This is a powerful analytical engine that can provide unbiased data and simulate the outcomes of policies. But, and this is key, it can only advise. It has zero power to make decisions. It's a guide, not a ruler. And here's how that partnership looks in practice. Let's say a new proposal comes up, like building a new bridge. The AI Guardian can instantly run a simulation showing the cost, the resource needs, the economic impact. The apostles then take all that objective data and apply human context, empathy, wisdom, moral judgment to make the final call. It's designed to give you the best of both worlds. So what does this all add up to? When you take this economy of circulation and you combine it with this government design for stability, what does life actually look and feel like for the average person? Well, the vision is pretty transformative. With the burden of interest gone, work weeks could shrink to maybe 20-25 hours, with a focus on genuine contribution instead of just working to service debt. With a strict one house per person rule and loans that only charge fees, not interest, owning your own home debt-free becomes the standard. The economy also becomes incredibly stable because demerge acts like an automatic stimulus during a downturn. And the government is built from the ground up to be transparent and incorruptible. At the end of the day, the whole paradigm just shifts. It stops being a zero-sum game about accumulating more than the next person in a world of scarcity. Instead, it becomes a positive-sum game, where value is created by keeping energy, ideas, and money constantly circulating for the benefit of everybody. So this blueprint really leaves us with one massive, thought-provoking question. Are all the problems that feel so permanent, the endless debt cycles, the political gridlock, the rising costs, are they just an inevitable part of life? Or are they the predictable results of a system that was designed, maybe unintentionally, to create them? And if they're a matter of design, couldn't we dare to design something better?